All right, in this video, we're going to look at goal M.2.5 in the ATIT study manual, and this involves conversions using the standard and metric measuring systems. Now, before we jump into this example, let me show you a few things online. The metric system, which we're going to talk about briefly in this video, the metric system is pretty much used all around the world with the exception of very few countries. In this case, now I just did a quick Google search, but countries that haven't adopted the metric system is like kilograms, kilometers, kiloliters, anything grams, liters, meters. You know, we use it a little bit in the US, but we have not officially adopted it. Looking at the red, these are the only locations in the world. Of course, this may have changed, but as you can see, everything else in this gray color, they use the metric system. So we're kind of by ourselves with, for those of us that use pounds, feet, inches, yards, or whatever, or something other than the metric system. Also, over at my website, after you watch this video, go ahead and go over to, idomath.weebly.com underneath test prep, TEAS test, ATITs new. If you scroll down a little bit, I encourage you to watch this video right here, metric conversions. And, there it is right there. This is a shortcut to help you convert within the metric system. I want to talk about the metric system a little bit briefly here with you in this tutorial, but this helps you convert when you're inside of the metric system, going back and forth between whether you go from grams to kilograms or kiloliters to milliliters or whatever it may be. So have a look at that video as well. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. This example here, so I've mentioned to you that not a lot of places use something other than the metric system. In America, we kind of mix it up. You can go get a 2 liter of Coke and a gallon of milk from the same grocery store. But for the most part, we in America, if we're used to just the standard measuring system, not the metric measuring system. So example, while on vacation in Europe, John purchased a recipe book. When he returned to America, he decided to make German sausage using a recipe from his new book. The recipe calls for 3.2 kilograms of pork shoulder. John calls his local butcher. How much should he request the pork shoulder to weigh in pounds? Because he's back in America. And we want to use the conversion factor, 0.45 kilograms equals 1 pound. To show that to you, and we're going to come back and check our work right here in a minute. Notice if I say, let's reverse this around. Do a quick Google search. You can type convert pounds to kilograms or go the other way. So I'm converting 1 pound. 1 pound, the conversion is roughly 0.45 kilograms. Sure, the Google shows more decimal places, but we'll just use the 0.45. Now, if I were you, I would not stress about memorizing these. They as in the TEAS test, I think they provide you with the conversion factor within the problem. Plus, if you're looking in your ATIT study manual, I'm looking at it right now. It looks like the examples they list in the book, they do give you some conversions, currency as well too. So don't stress about memorizing them. But here we go. So he needs 3.2 kilograms. Remember, he bought this recipe book in Europe, so they use the metric measuring system. Well, let's use the conversion factor right here, and we're going to use a proportion here. You can use proportions to solve these. There are other techniques, but I'm just going to show you a proportion here. So 0.45 kilograms is the same thing as 1 pound, and that's often the abbreviation for pound. Well, what does he need to tell the butcher? The butcher is not going to understand. Let's make the assumption the butcher doesn't understand, kilograms. The butcher wants to hear pounds and ounces and stuff like that. Well, we're just going to say pounds. Well, what do we know? We know that the recipe calls for 3.2 kilograms. So based on how I have this conversion factor set up here, I'm going to put my kilograms at the top. So 3.2 kilograms, but we don't know how many pounds John needs to request. So notice I got kilograms, kilograms, pounds, pounds. And from here, all we have to do is cross multiply and divide. So in this case, let's cross multiply. We can do 0.45 times x. That's going to be 0.45x. This is like solving a ratio proportion kind of problem. And multiply the other way. 1 times 3.2 is 3.2. So to get x by itself, we divide by 0.45 on both sides. And you have seen this in earlier TEAS videos where we did solve some proportions. So let's just pull up the calculator and do 3.2 divided by 0.45. So we're looking at roughly, could he get away with 7 pounds? Yeah, I think his German sausage would turn out just fine. But if you want to be real precise, tell the butcher, hey, I need 7.111111 pounds. What's the butcher going to do? He's probably going to do, a 7 pounds. So 3.2 kilograms. When we solve this here, X is approximately 7 pounds. That's what he needs to tell the butcher to cut a pork shoulder that is roughly 7 pounds. So let's go back over to Google and let's see if that's going to work. I'm going to come back up here and press enter on that conversion. So we want to convert kilograms to pounds, and we knew the recipe called for 3.2 kilograms. And notice here we don't get the 7.111111, but pretty much as you can see here, if we round this off to the nearest pound, we need 7 pounds of pork shoulder. And more than likely, you'll be just fine using ratios and proportions to solve these particular examples. As I discussed earlier in the TEAS tutorial series, there is this other technique called dimensional analysis. Feel free to check my channel on using dimensional analysis, and I'm sure you will run across dimensional analysis in a nursing class later on in the future if you haven't already. And there you have it, a real quick video. Make sure you check out the other video too on converting within the metric system. And that is it for this video. I hope it helped.